Sunday afternoon at Filbert Street, and a fine display to set before a live TV audience as Posh proved there was life after Ken Charlery. His replacement, Tony Philliskirk, curling in a left foot shot after half an hour. And then just before half-time, Stirling settled it. Leicester 0, Peterborough 2, as Posh grabbed full revenge for that Coca-Cola Cup exit. Plenty of goals here in the next match against Luton. It all started with this lobbed effort from Phil Gray. 5 minutes later, Peterborough back on terms. They got the benefit here of a free kick situation. Plenty of protests from a whole posse of Luton players, and one obviously had just a little bit too much to say for himself. But amidst it all, one player kept calm, and that was Gary Cooper, who knew exactly what he was going to do with the set piece. Peterborough level, one each after 25 minutes, and Cooper with every reason to celebrate. But it was Luton who went on to grab two further goals before half-time. The first one here following a neat build-up on the left. And when the cross was delivered, Paul Telfer made no mistake with a powerful header. And then 5 minutes before half-time, Luton increased their advantage. This time the cross came in from the right from Claridge. And Phil Gray found himself in an unmarked position as he nodded in his second. So it was 3-1 to the Happy Hatters at half-time. But in the second half, Posh managed one reply. Luke swung over the cross. Philliskirk headed against the bar. But Adcock, as always, was on hand to pick up the pieces. But it was another home defeat. Peterborough 2, Luton 3. The following Friday at Tranmere, Posh took the lead rather against the run of play. 32 minutes gone. The Tranmere defence got themselves in all sorts of trouble. Philliskirk with a back heel to Stirling. From then on, it was panic stations in the home defence. They just couldn't get the ball away. Eventually, it came to Marcus Ebden, who hooked in the telling shot. Ebden's first goal of the season. And watching from the stands was his father, who still lives on Merseyside. Tranmere's reply came a minute after half-time from this build-up on the left. Jed Brennan eventually delivered the cross, which was headed home at the near post by Chris Melkin. Tranmere 1, Peterborough 1, a well-earned point. The following Tuesday, Peterborough travelled to Watford to meet up again with their former goal-scoring hero, Ken Charlery. But it was his replacement, Tony Philliskirk, who opened the scoring just before half-time with this towering far-post header from Stirling's inviting cross. The travelling contingent with plenty to cheer. And there was more to come. Halfway through the second half, and Philliskirk got on the score sheet again. Another quality strike, this time with a free kick from fully 25 yards range. Philliskirk's third goal in 4 matches, following his arrival from Bolton. Watford did manage to pull one back. 10 minutes to go, a corner swung in from the left, nodded into the box, and no prizes for guessing the scorer. It just had to be Ken Charlery. But Peterborough collected the 3 points, their 5th away win in the league. Now, what about the home form? It hadn't been too good. Sunderland provided the opposition. Corner here for Posh after 7 minutes. Stirling delivered. Howarth headed it on. And Adcock collected goal number 8. Peterborough won ahead. That's how it stayed till half-time. No sign then of the avalanche to come. 6 minutes after the switch round, a careless back pass. Goodman darted in. Bennett darted out. A penalty, the result. And Sunderland back in the match as Davenport crashed home the spot kick. But then came 2 goals within the space of a minute that swung the game back in Peterborough's favour. Firstly, on 56 minutes, a Stirling corner was swept home by Philliskirk. 4 goals in 5 matches. A great record, which went a long way towards softening the shock of the departure of Charlery. Seconds later, Posh went 3 ahead. Cooper with a cross from the left, and Tony Adcock doing again what he does best. So quick to seize upon the opportunity. The Sunderland defence again caught napping. On the hour mark, Posh made it 4-1. A miscue by a Sunderland defender. Stirling got in the cross, and Gary Cooper said, "Thanks very much." Cooper in the clear, the ball in the net, and the home jinx all but killed off. But Sunderland weren't quite finished. In a rare attack, the ball eventually dropped to substitute David Rush. who unleashed a spectacular 20-yard volley. 4-2, surely that was enough, but no, there was one more goal to come. A neat flick from Adcock sent Iorfa racing in the clear. Sunderland didn't know what to expect, but the Nigerian knew exactly what he was about, fooling everyone with a delicate chip. And that goal, the climax of a fine performance, as POSH clinched their first league win at London Road for 7 games. The next match, a tricky FA Cup tie at Kingstonian, and so it proved, with the non-league side taking the lead 2 minutes before half-time, with Andy Parr setting up a chance for Andy Russell. A tiny stadium, an eerie atmosphere. It all seemed right for a cup upset, but there was great relief in the Peterborough camp midway through the second half when Ronnie Robinson's skidding shot deceived goalkeeper Blake, and Adcock was on hand to turn the ball in. Next, a home match at London Road against Bristol Rovers, and with 13 minutes to go, Tony Adcock again showed what finishing is all about. A fine through ball, and Adcock slotted away goal number 11. But then came an unusual error that denied Peterborough the 3 points. Bennett found Hardiman's free kick too hot to handle, and Carl Saunders gleefully stabbed in the loose ball to earn Rovers a share of the points. The cup replay against Kingstonian proved to be a memorable night, but for the wrong reason. POSH launched their goal spree early with his headed effort from Philliskirk after 8 minutes. Goal number 2 followed 17 minutes later from this Sterling corner, headed back out to Sterling. The cross pumped in again, and Philliskirk, with the most deft of touches, left Adrian Blake helpless. 4 minutes before half-time, and a Sterling cross again unlocked the door of the Kingstonian defence as Tony Adcock swept in with a diving header. 3-0 at half-time, but there was drama and controversy early in the second half as the Kingstonian keeper Adrian Blake appeared to be struck on the head by a missile thrown from the London Road end of the ground. Well, after a lengthy hold-up, the keeper was led away to the dressing room with Andy Parr deputising in goal. And the first time the substitute keeper had to pick the ball out of the back of the net was after 63 minutes. Adcock the scorer. Sterling's corner flicked on by Howarth, setting up the chance. 3 minutes later, and it was 5-0 to Peterborough. Sterling again the provider, enabling Philliskirk to complete his hat-trick. But the part-timers deserved something, and they got it on 73 minutes. And what a spectacular reward it was. A superb effort from Finch, rasping into the roof of the net. But Peterborough added 4 more goals in the final 10 minutes. Cooper, the next name on the score sheet, with an accurate 15-yarder. And that was followed by a soft goal. Iorfa's cross taking a deflection off David Harlow. That was a strange one. The next one was a bit fortunate too. And we can see in a moment how the ball gets bogged down in the mud. But it was a case of Philliskirk's persistence paying off after Ebden had flicked the ball on. And then right on the stroke of full-time, Barnes squared across and Philliskirk was in for the kill for his 5th, Peterborough's 9th, with the match rather tarnished by that throwing incident. 4 days later, and Swindon were the visitors, but before Glenn Hoddle's side could display their silky skills, Adcock snapped up his 12th goal of the season after Cooper and Philliskirk had combined to set up the chance. Adcock racing in, and that is the hallmark of a great finisher. But after 21 minutes, Swindon drew level from this corner. Sean Taylor's powerful header ploughing into the roof of the net. Just before half-time, POSH recaptured their lead as Taylor, the hero a few moments earlier, turned villain as he guided Welsh's cross into his own net. And in the second half, the visitors' top scorer, Craig Marshall, put Swindon back on level terms with this header from Kerslake's cross. Then after 77 minutes, a Hoddle free kick was floated over, and Sean Taylor made up for his earlier misjudgment by powering goal number 3 for Swindon. The Wiltshire side thought they'd won it, but with 7 minutes to go, there was a bizarre equaliser from Peterborough. Nicky Hammond became a victim of the new back pass rule. His attempted clearance went straight to Adcock, who promptly slotted the ball home to make it 3-3. Here it is again from a different angle. Adcock as cool as you like, punishing the mistake, as Peterborough shared the points in an exciting match. The FA ordered the club to replay their match against Kingstonian behind closed doors. No goal feast this time amidst a strange atmosphere. Just the one by Worrell Sterling after 68 minutes, putting Peterborough en route to Plymouth for round 2. With Iorfa making his full debut, it wasn't a good start at home park. From Dalton's left-wing cross, Dwight Marshall scored the first after 34 minutes. 3 minutes later, and POSH went 2 down. Dwight Marshall again the scorer, taking full advantage of some hesitancy in the Peterborough defence. There were 3 goals in a hectic 3-minute spell halfway through the second half. Firstly, Tony Philliskirk gave Peterborough a lifeline when he turned in a cross from Bobby Barnes. But a minute later, Plymouth restored their 2-goal lead when Steve Castle forced Marshall's header over the line. 3-1 to the home side, but Peterborough soldiered on and they cut the deficit on 76 minutes with Sterling managing to beat Ray Newland. But it finished 3-2 and POSH were denied a trip to Ipswich in round 3. In the home match against Portsmouth, Tony Philliskirk was again on target, this time finding the net after just 9 minutes, after latching onto a good ball from Gary Cooper. A good start for Peterborough as they resumed their league campaign. But in the second half, this move on the Portsmouth right led to the equaliser. McLaughlin and Walsh combined here to set up the opening for Whittingham to score his 22nd goal of the season. So Peterborough pegged back to 1 apiece, but late in the game, it seemed as if Pompey might have collected all 3 points. A bit of hesitancy here. Birch is brought down, but Ian Bennett preserved Peterborough's share of the points, as we can see here with a brilliant save from Walsh's penalty. Now, the next match for POSH was memorable for 2 reasons. Firstly, Steve Welsh scored his first ever league goal. That proved to be the winner. And secondly, it was the start of a new era for POSH, with the consortium headed by Chris Turner having bought out the club a few hours earlier. First goal for the captain, well worth seeing again. Just after Christmas, POSH started well against Charlton, but they were rocked back on their heels after half an hour when Walsh and Robinson combined to set up a chance for Peter Garland. But within 3 minutes, Peterborough, under the new managership of Lil Fucillo, will level. A good left-wing move resulted in Halsall chipping the ball in for Philliskirk to steer into the net. Charlton appealed for offside, but the goal stood, and 1-1 it stayed until the final whistle. So Peterborough entered the new year in 13th position in the league, and in this match against Barnsley, the visitors were soon reduced to 10 men when Halsall's goal-bound effort was palmed away by full-back Mark Robinson. The visiting full-back was sent off, and as if that wasn't enough, Barnsley were further punished as Cooper sent Lee Butler the wrong way from the penalty spot. But POSH failed to cash in on their advantage. The old failing at home reared its ugly head again as Barnsley grabbed an equaliser in the 58th minute. Biggins flicked on, and Andy Rammell made it 1-1 with a powerful header. Newcastle next, a tough one. Nearly 30,000 packed into St James's Park to see the home side take the lead with a 29th minute volley from Robert Lee. 20 minutes to go and Kelly set up number 2 for Lee. Again, a crisp finish. And then 2 minutes from time, an interchange of passes on the right. Venison's shot was blocked, and as the ball broke free, Peacock lobbed it over, and Kelly rounded off the scoring.